Joki Shege is our sign language interpreter. Tonight we begin with a major government corruption scandal. The cabinet has ordered an immediate criminal investigation after an audit exposed an alleged 6.2 billion shillings payroll fraud across government. During its Tuesday sitting chaired by President William Ruto, the cabinet directed the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to immediately probe all ministries, state departments and agencies and ensure everyone found culpable is arrested and prosecuted. Citizen TV's political affairs reporter Stephen Latour has the details.
A comprehensive payroll audit on 12 out of the 53 state departments has uncovered widespread theft of public funds, where individuals within government circles rob public wage bill through fictitious payment. According to the cabinet dispatch, the audit exposed unauthorized alterations to payroll records, irregular payments, weak controls over statutory deductions, and fragmented payroll management and major oversight gaps. To curb the theft, the cabinet directed the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, to investigate payroll fraud in government offices, verify personal numbers used in payroll processing, and dismantle the criminal networks manipulating government payroll systems, and recover lost public funds, as well as ensure the immediate arrest and prosecution of all persons found culpable. The meeting also ordered the immediate implementation of a comprehensive payroll reform program, including government-wide audit of all remaining state departments and public institutions. It further ordered a mandatory migration of all ministries, departments, agencies and state corporations onto the newly revamped integrated human resource and payroll system. Cabinet also endorsed major investments in strategic infrastructure to strengthen public services and accelerate economic growth. It also sanctioned the 26 billion shillings judicial performance improvement project phase 2 in partnership with the World Bank to build a new Supreme Court complex, a dedicated Court of Appeal, a consolidated tribunals and judiciary administration complex, and a modern Kenya Judiciary Academy. Stephen Latour, Citizen TV.
Others sustained gunshot wounds during protests in Kariobangi North, Mathare and Huruma. Protesters engaged police in running battles for the better part of the day. The unrest also left a trail of destruction, including damage to a healthcare facility in Huruma. The demonstrations, now in their third consecutive day, have been sparked by the disappearance of 2 local youth who reportedly went missing on the 25th of June. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui with the details.
Mathare, Huruma and Kiamaiko were gripped by protest and unrest for the third time, as hundreds of youth returned to the streets demanding answers over the disappearance of Abdulaziz Dubamolo, popularly known as Zizo, and Mathare youth leader Macmillan Carrier, who have been missing since June 25th. The demonstrations turned deadly after one person was reportedly shot and killed during clashes between protesters and police. 2 others sustained gunshot wounds and are receiving treatment. Police fired tear gas and warning shots in an attempt to disperse the crowds, as the angry protesters responded by hurling stones as they surged towards Outer Ring Road to disrupt traffic.
What caused this mandamano ni kuna kijana ameabductiwa and who is by the name Zizo Abdulaziz. We as a Kenyans ambayo ni wananchi wakaaji wa huku Kiamaiko tunakuwa na wasiwasi mingi. Watoto wetu siku 3 hawako kwenda shule, na wazee wakonge wako kwa nyumba wana suffocate na hii tear gas. Unajua kama mmeua kijana wetu tena mnakuja kuua wengine hapa. Wacha nikwambie. Nyinyi ndio mnafanya hii maandamano inakuwa.
Kama kuna makosa, kotini zilijengwa za nini? Majaji waliwekwa hapo ya nini? Justice iliwekwa hapo ya nini? Kama ni kufungwa afungwe tu juu yako kotini. Sasa hatujui mali yako tunaumia.
The unrest also left a trail of destruction. Elizabeth Huruma Nursing Hospital was raided by goons who ransacked wards, vandalized an ambulance, and destroyed medicines and other medical equipment. Patients seeking treatment were left terrified by the attack. The facility has served as a critical treatment center for people injured during the Saturday protests. Police are yet to issue an official statement on Zizo and Kiari's disappearance, despite persistent demands from residents and growing concern following reports that they were allegedly abducted before going missing. Ben Kiroi, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
3 days action. Activist Davis Liuma remains unable to explain what happened during the 3 days he was missing. Preliminary medical assessments show no major physical injuries, with doctors saying his vital organs are intact. However, his family says his mental state remains a major concern and that they will seek further medical evaluation to determine what he endured. Gatete Njoroge reports.
For the third day running, activist Davis Liuma remains in a state of delirium. Unable to speak or recognize those around him, he lies motionless in his hospital bed as worried relatives keep vigil. But what troubles the family even more are the medical findings so far. Preliminary tests have ruled out major physical injuries, with doctors indicating that his vital organs are intact. The family now plans to seek further medical evaluation in a bid to establish what happened during the 3 days he was missing.
There are aggressive ways of carrying out torture that are not observable, and we'll need experts to tell us exactly what they have done to this young man.
Ingawaje ana maumivu ambayo yako wazi, madaktari wamemchunguza, lakini maumivu aliyo nayo zaidi ni ya kuteswa.
Opposition leaders who visited Liuma in hospital called for a thorough investigation into his ordeal, saying it adds to growing concerns over reported cases of enforced disappearances and abductions.
We must bring a stop to what is happening to our country. Abductions should never really happen in a free and fair democracy.
The abduction squads continue unabated. They are more threatening, but we must make it clear to Mr. Ruto that these crimes will not go unpunished.
The leaders took aim at IPOA, saying that despite documenting numerous cases of alleged police excesses since 2024, little has been done to ensure justice for victims. Similar concerns were echoed by leaders allied to the government.
IPOA has these records. The officers are known. What is lacking is the will to hold these officers accountable.
IPOA, tafadhalini, do your job. Kwa sababu munafanya kazi yetu iwe ngumu sana. Kutetea serikali kama hiyo ndio itakuwa kila siku ni news. Ikifanyika as an independent policing authority, please do your job.
Police on Sunday said they are investigating all reported cases of alleged abductions and assaults raised by sections of civil society. Liuma has since been discharged from Nairobi Women's Hospital. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
And the Kenya National Commission on Rights Watchdog has faulted the government over its handling of last week's protests, where it documented 7 cases of enforced disappearances by what it says are state agents. The Commission now wants the National Police Service to investigate and come clean on who took the activists, as well as produce 3 other people who were disappeared this month. The demands come as the PS for Interior Dr. Raymond Omolo denied any government involvement in the abductions, saying some of the victims had staged their own abductions. Brenda Wanga reports on this developing story.
Numbed from days in captivity, David Liuma is short of words as he tries to find his bearings from a hospital bed. He is the latest of the victims of abductions, growing and worrying continuing trend of arbitrary arrests and abductions that has been condemned by opposition leaders.
And the abduction squads continue unabated. They are more threatening, but we must make it clear to Mr. Ruto that these crimes will not go unpunished.
That we must bring a stop to what is happening to our country. Abductions should never really happen in a free and fair democracy.
The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights documented 7 cases of such disappearances last week alone, and 35 such cases amongst those who are said to be compensated by government for the violation of their rights. But even as a state-funded Rights Watch Commission confirms these cases, the ministry in charge of security is flat out denying these occurrences.
There are no abductions under the watch of His Excellency President Ruto. And if there is anyone, of course, the law is clear and the processes are very clear. Anyone who is missing, I think it's important that they must be reported as missing persons.
The abductions and eventual release by what victims have always termed as state operatives has almost become routine. The pattern is almost always the same. Targeted activists are grabbed, sometimes in plain daylight during the protests, or sometimes under the cover of darkness, bundled either into police vehicles or in unmarked cars and disappeared. Oftentimes, they resurface days, weeks later, weak and bearing the hallmarks of torture. It is a pattern that the Kenya Kwanza government pledged to break. Before he was president, then candidate William Ruto swore to do things differently from his predecessor's government.
Kenya Kwanza will end political weaponization of state institutions. We want these institutions to operate independently as is expected of them by the Constitution.
The promise to clean up the world of arbitrary arrests would be tested early in his presidency when in June 2024, the Gen Z-led protests against the finance bill swept the country, and with them came a wave of disappearances that human rights organizations say bore the same hallmarks as the abductions of decades past. Pressed locally and in the presence of international leaders, President William Ruto addressed this issue again, once again, reiterating his pledge.
And I have given clarity and firm instructions that nothing of that kind of nature will happen again.
But it did and continues to happen, and senior officials of his administration continue to deny responsibility.
I think we are a responsible, I know we are a responsible government. We respect the rights of everyone to disagree with what we do and to express it.
The pledge and the reality, however, remain worlds apart, with one thing standing. The promises were made 3 times as a candidate, as a president-elect, and as head of state. Abductions will not happen, not under his watch. But for the family of Lichuma, those promises ring hollow. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
NTSA leader Rigathi Gachagua. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, now wants politicians to stop sponsoring political goons who have been wreaking havoc across the country. The IEBC commissioners who appeared before the National Assembly Public Accounts Committee today lamented over the spread of the goons in the country as the 2027 general election beckons.
The raging debate on the culture of goons and mushrooming criminal gangs across the country was Tuesday the center of attention in Parliament as the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, laid the blame squarely on the politicians' doorstep.
Chairman and honorable members.
The MPs who came face to face with the electoral body, narrating the recent spate of attacks in their own constituencies.
Kwa mfano Turkana Central. Juzi kuna mwenye anawania pia kiti hiki changu. Alipigwa na goons karibu akufa.
Ijumaa, Jumamosi na Jumapili. Kufika jana jioni tumepoteza mwanafunzi wa chuo cha NTSA.
In its rejoinder, IEBC blamed politicians, saying they were fueling the goons.
Na haya makundi yote matajiri wao ni ninyi viongozi wetu. Sasa tukitaka kusimamisha mtu, tuenda kwenye chimbuko ama tuenda chini yake? Lazima tuende kwenye chimbuko wa mtu, na chimbuko ni ninyi viongozi.
IEBC says it will continue to crack the whip through the enforcement of the Electoral Code of Conduct.
Mkiacha kulipia majambazi wa kisiasa, hili tatizo talimaliza. Lakini ninyi kwa heshima kubwa mwongea kwa upande mbili za midomo. Mwatukanane wenyewe kwa wenyewe, ninyi ni viongozi wetu, tunaogopa kuwakabili. lakini tumeamua kwamba tutakabili kulingana na sheria.
This comes as IEBC also disclosed that it is facing financial deficits to prepare for next year's general election after its 74 billion shilling budget was slashed by almost half in the budgets ahead of 2027.
How much was IEBC allocated in terms of preparedness as we head to 2027?
27 ni bilioni 24, 27, 28 ni bilioni 20. Hizo ndio tumeallocatiwa. Lakini ile ambayo tumeomba ni bilioni 70 na ngapi? Na 4. Kwa hivyo tuna balance ama tuna pesa ambazo zimesalia kiasi ya bilioni 30. Kwa hivyo bado tutarudi.
IEBC was appearing before the Watchdog Committee to answer to audit queries for the year ended 30th June 2024 and 2025. It has been a national spectacle of blame games from the national government to politicians and now the electoral body, but one thing remains: the goons continue to roam freely. Emmanuel Tor, Citizen TV, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
All right, we're taking a break here on the program tonight, but shortly we shall be speaking to the Director General of NTSA, that's the National Transport Safety Authority, Engineer Nashan Kondiwa. We'll be talking about all the fines. We'll be talking about the inspections. It's caused quite the furore in the country. And tonight, it's all about your questions to him. So please keep them coming at Citizen TV Kenya, at Yvonne Okwara. The hashtag we're using to track your questions to him is Citizen Explainer. So keep them coming, and we'll be speaking with him right after the break. Speed limits, fines and inspections. The Director General of NTSA, Engineer Nashan Kondiwa, is on the Explainer tonight. All right, that conversation with the Director General of NTSA is coming up in just a few moments. But first, a family in Kiambu County is demanding answers and justice following the brutal murder of their 34-year-old daughter. Teresia Nyokabi was allegedly sexually assaulted before being killed by unknown assailants. Her partially clothed body was discovered in Gatundu town on Sunday night. While police say investigations are underway, the family says they are alarmed by the rising number of similar crimes in the area and what they describe as the slow pace of arrests. We now take a look at this story and other crime stories from across the country.
Grief and outrage at Mukinduri village in Gatundu South. For the family of 34-year-old Teresia Nyokabi, the pain is unimaginable. They say the mother of one was found by a passerby on Sunday morning in Gatundu town. Her partially closed body bearing signs of a brutal attack. Police suspect she was sexually assaulted before being murdered. Her attackers had vanished, leaving behind a grieving family and a trail of unanswered questions.
Mama Nyokabi alikuta mtoto wake akiwa usi, ametendewa matendo mabaya, hata alianguka hapo. Serikali wakikataa kuchukua hatua ya huo mtoto, sisi wa mama tutaenda huko Gatundu.
Hata watoto wadogo hawachagui watoto, hawachagui wasichana, hawachagui wazee, kila mtu huku ni Sodom. Katondo tuangaliliwe tu.
Death has reignited fears among residents who say violent attacks and sexual offenses are becoming increasingly common in the area. Many are linking the rise in crime to the growing abuse of illicit drugs and are calling for urgent action from security agencies. Adding to the family's anguish is the agonizing wait for answers.
Uchunguzi unaendelea. Tutawajulisha matokeo ikitokezea ya postmortem, tutawaelezea nini imetokezea.
Hundreds of kilometers away in Busia, the family of 26-year-old Laura Ajambo of Lukonyi village is demanding accountability after she was allegedly shot dead by police. Her family says she was returning from a nearby shop on Tuesday evening when she was allegedly shot in the chest as officers confronted a group of youth in the Marachi area.
Ni cha huzuni sana na naomba tu serikali nisaidie na nipate haki ya kifo cha mtoto wangu. Sababu mtoto wangu amekuwa mtoto wa amani, ni mtoto tangu asome, ameenda kazi Lebanon na ndipo alikuwa tu amerudi,
Nashangaa kama huyo polisi kweli alipitia colleges zetu za Kenya.
Meanwhile, in Mombasa, the family of Karisa Hamisi Kombe is demanding a swift investigation after he was fatally stabbed at his workplace under unclear circumstances.
So kwa ripoti kutoka kwa bibi na ndugu yake walioko karibu naye wakatuambia amekatwa mapanga.
Walipokuwa anagojea pale wakajulishwa kwamba kuna mwenye anakuja kupima yale madini kama kweli yako na dhamani gani na kama ni ya ukweli. Wakiwa pale kuna watu wengine wakafika kama 4 wakaanza kuwashapa wakiwa na visu.
2 suspects including a Tanzanian national have since been arrested as investigations continue. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
A family from Bungoma is seeking immediate intervention from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to repatriate the body of their kin who died in the Democratic Republic of Congo. 52-year-old Wycliffe Maketi died under unclear circumstances, with the family saying they have received conflicting reports. And as Laura Otieno reports, the family claims that the body of their kin has been marked for disposal as hospitals in the DRC deal with the surging number of Ebola patients.
1 month since they received the news of the unfortunate passing of their breadwinner, the family of Wycliffe Maketi has been agonizing, unable to repatriate the remains of their kin. The 52-year-old worked as a private plant operator in the DRC and was allegedly attacked by unknown people. His family, however, claims that they have received conflicting reports over the cause of death.
Watu ambao walimwokota na kumpeleka hospitali walisema ni kama aliatakiwa. And from there, sisi hatujaenda kule, tukasema tutafanya postmortem tupeane report. Na wale walipeana report kama hospitali ya ile ilimreceive na akafariki kwa mikono yao, walisema kuwa alikuwa na shida ya kupumua.
The family now claims that the 14-day window period issued by a local hospital has elapsed, with the facility threatening to dispose the body or cremate his remains.
Tulilipa 150,000 yenye tulikuwa tumechanga, tuliende ilete kuja na mwili, lakini ilishindwa kupita boda ya Uganda. Sasa tumeshindwa cha kufanya, mwili imesindikana.
Kama Ebola iko juu na mwili hizi kaletwa, imesemekana kuwa mwili unaweza chomwa na tukaletewe jifu Kenya. Of which hatutakataa kwa sababu kama kuna shida ya Ebola hatutaforce kabla tukasimamie mazishi yake anapochomwa na tukambebe tukamlete Kenya, pia tutakuwa tumesaidika.
Uganda had temporarily closed its borders with the DRC in May to contain the spread of the Ebola virus disease. Wycliffe's family is now living with the realities of the ripple effects of a pandemic miles away that has disrupted movement channels, clawing onto the remains of their patriarch. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
All right, and the interview we have promised you this evening is with the Director General of the National Transport Safety Authority, that's Engineer Nashan Kondiwa. Many questions we have from you, so keep them coming tonight. It's all about your questions to him about the speed limits, the fines, and of course, the news about inspection of private motor vehicles, amongst others. Thank you so much for making the time for us here on the program.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Great. I would like to start straight with a viewer's question, if we can put that here. And this one is from Jeff Osiba. He says, please ask, what's the rationale for allowing 8-year-old motor vehicles and subject the same to inspection despite the KEB's certification on roadworthiness?
Yeah, this is quite an interesting question, because what we are looking at is basically the regularity of checking whether the vehicle is still roadworthy. You know, the KEB certification is at the inspection that is done at the registration of the vehicle. And it is always done outside the country. So before we register a vehicle, any vehicle in the country, we require that it be certified, it be inspected, whether it's roadworthy, the conditions are correct and all that. For vehicles that are built in the country, we do it in NTSA inspection centers. We call it pre-registration inspection. For vehicles that are imported into the country, kept as agents outside the country to just make sure that they conform to the standards. But once they are in the country, there's the issue of, do they continue to be roadworthy? You may have imported it, a very good vehicle, but you don't service it. The impact to the environment. It may have even disappeared from the vehicle registry. In other words, the vehicle has had an accident and maybe it's no longer even in use. So the reason why we inspect vehicles are actually, I would say, threefold. One is just to make sure that the vehicles that are on the road are physically on the road, number one, because we really need to know the completeness of the vehicle registry that we have. It's a very important set of data for planning.
So you don't know how many vehicles are in the country registered?
As we speak, we register vehicles, Yvonne, but the truth is we don't deregister them, because when you stop using your vehicle, you just dispose it.
Why don't you deregister them?
Because there's nowhere where the law requires you to come for deregistration. It remains voluntary. And many people just avoid doing it, even though it's a very simple process. Simply apply. You don't even charge it. Simply apply and say, I'm no longer using this vehicle. But it remains voluntary. So because people just decide that this vehicle is no longer with me and they just leave it in the yard, we don't know.
Couldn't you then come up with a regulation or a law?
And this is the regulation you're talking about right now.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we have a physical contact with the vehicle. If it's still on the road, we have a physical contact with it at least annually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one is to,
just to have the right registry.
Okay.
The second one is for roadworthiness. The vehicle that was imported last year, depending on how it is used, maybe next year it's not roadworthy. Because even if you look at the way some of these vehicles are loaded, if you look at the way they are being used, maybe the next year, even without servicing, it may not even be roadworthy. So we have to really check the roadworthiness and the safety elements. And the safety here is not just the safety of the one who is driving it. It's the safety of all the road users that this particular vehicle interact with. And vehicle safety is one huge component of road safety. Actually, road safety has three components: the safe vehicles, safe roads, and safe road users. So when it comes to safe vehicles, we have to check, is this vehicle really even in a position to be used on the road, the safety. Now, the third element has to do with security. Is this vehicle, if it is being used, how is it being used? And who is using it? Is there some other vehicle that maybe is using the credentials of this vehicle to be on the road? And we are talking about frauds around vehicle identity theft, which is a big issue, especially in the region where we are. If a vehicle has been, is not in use, somebody easily pick that number plate and put into a vehicle that is imported from a neighboring country. And sometimes you don't know. Yvonne, I want to remind you that when the Dusit attack happened, it was a case of a wrong plate in a wrong vehicle.
Is that the mandate of NTSA or the police?
NTSA, as the registrar of motor vehicles, has that role to make sure that the vehicle identity is properly kept. So, yes, we may not be a security institution, but we have the mandate of keeping accurate record of all the vehicles in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talked about safety and roadworthiness being, one of the things that you're hoping to solve with this annual inspection. What's the magnitude of that problem?
The magnitude of that problem, if I put in context, as we speak, people talk about PSV vehicles and all that, but I can tell you that the number one vehicle, when you look at accident in terms of causes of accident, the number one contributor is commercial vehicles. That's the leading. The second one is motorcycle. And the third one is private vehicles. That is these cars that individuals drive on the road. And the fourth is PSV. So PSV comes number 4. Now, motorcycles and motor vehicles fall under what we call the private vehicles. And actually, to be honest, they contribute 62%, if you go by the last year's statistics. 62% of all the accidents involve private vehicles.
Right.
Now,
And how much of that is due to the state of the vehicle?
When you talk about road safety, this multiplicity of factors, you really don't want to point it out that it is the vehicle, because even if it's a vehicle and has a problem and the person who is using it is very careful, you might realize that he is able to control the vehicle. But even if the person controlling it is careful and the vehicle is not right and the road has a problem, there's a problem. So every time we do an accident investigation, you realize there are multiplicity of factors. There's the vehicle issue, there's the driver issue or the user issue, and there is the road issue.
Okay.
And therefore, apportioning particularly to vehicle inspection becomes a bit blurred. But it is this system of three major factors.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question is, if it is blurred and you're not able to determine the number of, say, private motor vehicles that, you know, based on your statistics, that are involved in accidents, and that it is due to the poor state of the vehicle, so you don't have any numbers on that
we have
to
the
back...
numbers, and the numbers is what I'm telling you, Yvonne. I'm telling you that there are three factors which you must address as a system. You don't address one and leave the other. And sometimes, like if I give you the state of the vehicles, it's just 100. Like I'm telling you that commercial vehicles are the leading, followed by, and these are specific numbers, if you look at the numbers that we give. But again, I will also give you another data that is depend on the road contribution. I will give you a number, another number that now defines the user.
Yeah. Do you have those numbers?
Yes. And they are always published. Yes,
just so that we understand the magnitude of the road safety issues.
Actually, if I look at, I can quickly look at the numbers, especially for last year. Just a minute. If I look at the numbers for last year, I can tell you that for commercial vehicles, we had 1,299 accidents, deaths that are contributed by commercial vehicles. Motorcycles, 1,268. Private vehicles, 1,030. And then there are other unknown, which is actually we are not able to identify. These are cases of hit and run, where we are not able to identify the vehicle, 690. And then we have PSVs, which are 646. So you realize that, of course, we have bicycles, tuk-tuks, and all that. Those are very small numbers. So 646 deaths caused by PSVs? Yes.
That carry multiple passengers?
Yes.
Okay. So this is where we are with that. But you say you don't know, as NTSA, how many cars we have registered out on the roads.
No, what I'm trying to say here, these are accidents. These are fatalities, the numbers I was giving you. What I'm saying is that since NTSA or Kenya started registering vehicles, there's no clear policy or attempts at knowing which vehicles are on the road and which ones are dead. So we have records. In fact, we have records even of the first vehicle that was ever registered in the country. And the records are still indicating that the vehicles are living, such that if I give you the vehicle populations as the record shows is around 5,200,000 and something thousand, that number, when I happen not to be coming out from outside NTSA, I was a director ICT, and I tried cleaning up these records around 2022. And then when I just tried to look at the vehicles with incomplete records, I ended up with at least 60% of the vehicles were not going to be do not have the clean records. So if I look at the estimates, especially if I look at motorcycles alone, motorcycles' life cycle and lifespan is around just 5 years maximum, or 4 or 5 years, the ones that are used for border. And if you look at it, then we have over 1 million motorcycles that are at least 10 years and above. I can definitely say that these motorcycles are no longer on the road. But I can't clean them, I can't remove them unless I have a process.
Well, you can't definitely say that because you don't know.
Okay, practically I know a motorcycles, especially the one that I used for border, they never last 10 years. That one I know.
Okay.
But you see, unless I am interacting with the vehicle physically, regularly, I'm not able to clean up that. Because what about if somebody has a way of maintaining their vehicle very well, that it lasts over 10 years?
Yeah.
You can just remove it. And that means that I have to have a process of knowing which vehicle is on the road. Are they safe to be on the road? Are they still used on the road?
So what's the plan with inspection? How are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? Do you have inspection centers across the country? How many do you have?
We have inspection centers, and this is the real conversation that I really want Kenyans to understand. And I see a lot of misinformation in the social media, and it is just not right. So when somebody decides to mislead the public, and I want to make it clear, and on TV, international TV here, that we need the law, and the law that is being implemented from tomorrow. We need the law even for investors to invest in inspection centers. No one is going to spend his money when there is no backing legal instruments that protect that investment. So we are going to license private motor vehicle inspection centers, and we are also going to have public inspection centers. Why? Because public inspection centers must take care of even areas where the private investors are not interested. So we are going to have 47 public inspection centers. Currently, NTSA has just 17. We are going to have 47, at least one in every county. But we are going to register another 70 across the country. And that means that we are going to have that capacity over 137, 70 plus 47, 117 inspection centers across the country.
When does this inspection begin?
The inspections begins almost immediately from tomorrow. If you want to bring your vehicle for inspection, you can bring it to NTSA inspection centers, which are existing.
Only 17?
Yes, they are existing. But the enforcement, the mandatory requirement, is what we will postpone until we have enough inspection centers.
And
this is the information that really need not to confuse anyone.
Okay. When will you have, at what point will you determine you've got enough? So you have 17 now. Hang on, just a moment. You've got 17 now. You intend to have 47 per county.
Yeah.
By when?
We intend to have this by December this year.
By December.
That is the plan, yeah.
And the 70 private?
70 private, actually from where I sit, it will take at least a year to have the 70.
So that would be by June 27?
Yeah.
So this mandatory enforcement will not happen until you have all of these in place?
Yes, it will not happen.
So there will be no mandatory enforcement by police until after June next year? Okay.
Except for the vehicles that require inspection for the sake of licensing. And that is commercial and PSV.
Okay. The question for me is why the private? And what will be the costs there as opposed to the public?
The cost is the same. And it's not why the private. It is why all the vehicles. Because we have been doing inspection for commercial and PSV. And we have just been doing it for the sake of licensing. And I've explained that inspection of vehicle is actually for 3 key reasons. And that's the reason why now we...
No, I understand that. I'm just asking why the government cannot have all of these centers by themselves. Why this is being outsourced to private inspection centers.
The reason why this is being done is the constraint in government budget. You see, for you to run and fund this, it's a lot in terms of the cost, the investment cost. And for government, you really just want to offload this. Kenyans are crying over...
At what cost?
Kenyans are crying over taxation.
At what cost?
The cost is basically the cost that we charge, that is 1,000 for inspection. That's what they will charge.
No, but they're going to be providing a service to government. So you're going to contract these private inspection centers.
License is the word.
Okay. They will not charge the government a service for that?
No. They'll charge the vehicle owners.
They charge the vehicle owners. And how much do they charge the vehicle owners?
2,000.
And they charge the same that a government one would. So how are they making their money?
It's the 1,000. It's not a very elaborate diagnostics. It's basic checks of roadworthiness. And actually, a vehicle, because it's automated, a vehicle drives through the lane. It takes around 10 minutes, done. So 1,000 is enough.
Okay, listen, I want us to come back and just understand this process of having the private inspection centers in the country a little bit more. Please stay with me on that, plus many of the questions we have from our viewers. I really do need to take a commercial break at this point, but we've got much more to talk about when we return here with the Director General of NTSA. Let's take a break. We're right back in a moment.
Thank you.
World Bank approves $1.25 billion in fresh funding cycle following the approval of institutional reforms. All right, welcome back. We are speaking with the Director General of NTSA, Engineer Nashan Kondiwa, on many of the questions you're asking, and I'm getting to those in a moment. I wanted to understand the fact that we've got private inspection centers, 70 of them that you say you're going to allow to set up, and in your words, make an investment. How much of an investment would they be making? What does it cost, for instance, to set up an inspection center?
The costs from our estimates are actually going by what we have done. An inspection lane, we call it an inspection lane. When I talk about a lane, it means a complete process that makes sure that you test everything on a vehicle from end to end. Now, when you talk about a lane, you can have 1 lane, 2 lanes, or 3 lanes, or even more, which means the number of vehicles that you can process at a time. 2 parallel means 2 lanes. 3 parallel means 3 lanes. Now, an inspection lane from the current prices and estimates that we have, especially going by what we have done, is around 40 million per lane. So because the licensing that we're going to give is at least a minimum of 2 lanes, so it means that we are talking about around 80 million over and above the other auxiliary elements like the structures around the building, the sanitary facilities.
So what sort of capacity are you looking for?
We're looking at a minimum of 2 lanes.
2 lanes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are talking about, in terms of equipment and the lane computation, it's just around 80 million. And then when we talk about the other auxiliary services, we can also set you back around 20 plus million. So on a minimum side, you're talking about 100 million that somebody needs to invest for vehicle inspections.
What's the contracting process for these private inspections?
These are licensing process, which we will do an expression of interest just to see who is interested. And what do they have? Of course, having basically minimum requirements defined. And then once we have the expression of interest, that is the people who are interested, and we will publicly put it in the media. Then we get the responses. Once we have the responses, then we look at really are these people serious based on some criteria that is set out. And then we shortlist. Then from the shortlisting, then we ask them to submit a detailed response. Of course, after taking them through what it means to have an inspection center and giving them detailed requirement. Then from there, they'll give a detailed response plus their investment plan and business plan and operational plan, including labor plan.
Right.
And then from there, we'll take the best, because we love to divide the country into blocks and license
operators to invest in specific areas.
Right. They're making an investment of nothing short of 100 million shillings per center. How much is the government going to be paying them for the service they will be providing?
You know, when you license somebody, you become a regulator. And when you regulate, you don't pay people. You don't contract. It's not a contract situation. It's a regulation situation, which means that people, the service they will be providing to the motorist, which is the inspection, they will be paid directly by the people. So for NTSA and the government will be quality assurance.
All right.
Just making sure that they're doing the right thing.
Hang on,
so there will be no payment from government to private inspection centers.
But they do need a guarantee that there will be X number of people that will be coming to their centers in order for them to recoup that investment.
Yeah, that is the guarantee that we provide by public estimates of the numbers. So
but you don't have numbers, you've said, because you're not sure about who's on the road and who's not.
For now, we are using the numbers as they are. The numbers as they are. You know, they may not be accurate, but you have to start from somewhere, Yvonne.
Okay. No,
you cannot say that I don't start because...
No, no one has said
you
don't
have to
start.
somewhere.
I'm trying to understand how you're going to guarantee them that they will have enough numbers. I've not said anything about not starting.
Of course,
whether
we don't guarantee anything in terms of numbers, but what we are doing is to make sure that as you do this, there's also a risk element. Every investment have a risk element.
So if you can't give them a guarantee, why would they be making this investment?
The reason why they will make investment is very simple. Even themselves have the reason. You see, before you even apply to do a job, it's not the person asking you to do the job to really estimate. That's why we start with the expression of interest.
This is not a job, engineer. This is an investment.
It's a job.
That you're
it's an investment.
Well,
before you make investment, Yvonne, you have to do your own business case. You cannot depend on the business case of whoever is telling you there is a job opportunity here. So even themselves, they have to look at the business case. That's why not everyone will apply. Some will look at the whole business case and say,
I want to understand this. So
the only guarantee I'm telling you we can do is to have the right laws in place to guarantee that there will be at least an inspection going on.
I'd like to ask you this, and this is a question that's also come from the viewers. So you talked about the number of accidents from commercial vehicles, fatalities rather, at 1,299, and those are regularly inspected, correct?
Yeah.
And the numbers of those that are coming, say, from private fatalities are 1,030, which at the moment do not have annual.
Yeah.
So the numbers that you do, I mean, the vehicles that you do have regular inspection still have higher fatalities than the private vehicles that...
When you talk about private, don't separate motorcycles because we are also going to inspect them. Don't separate motorcycles from private use vehicles. They are the same.
But you said...
They are combined.
No,
so combine the two.
No. You said 1,268 fatalities from motorcycles.
Yes.
Then 1,030 from private.
Yes.
So you gave two separate figures. So that means they're not in one.
We separate them just because of the uniqueness of our data.
Okay.
We want to narrow down certain things.
All right. The question for me is, the vehicles that you are inspecting yearly still have higher fatalities than the ones... It's based on your numbers.
Look at the PSV.
Okay.
Actually, if you look at PSV...
And PSV and commercial.
And the reason why... No.
No.
PSV are not commercial.
No.
PSV
Commercial
are separate.
let me...
Commercial are these good things.
Let me just ask. Commercial vehicles are also inspected annually?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, even the regulations we are talking about, you should have realized that we have even narrowed down to have commercial vehicle regulation. See, for the commercial vehicles, we have just been doing the specific roadworthiness inspection, but we have not done for the use. And that's why among all these regulations that we are doing, there is vehicle inspection regulation, there is commercial vehicle regulation, and there's crew transport regulation, and there is drunk driving regulation. So we are talking about 4 regulations. We are not just talking about one. And the reason why we have narrowed down and separated commercial from the PSV is because of those numbers. So it's more of data-driven approach. So it's not that the commercial vehicles, because we are inspecting them, we are changing even the way we are inspecting them. Even some of the requirements like reflective, like if you look at commercial vehicles when they are stolen on the road, you can't tell, you just find yourself bumping into one. And this has caused a lot of accidents. Right now we are requiring them to have a strip of reflective material and to a certain standard. And this will be part of the inspection.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's take a question here from, I think it's regarding the numbers. This is from Engineer Kialo. Would it not be easier to rely on motor vehicles with insurance for vehicle counts? Isn't inspection roadworthiness check covered when vehicles are valued for insurance?
The one thing you want also get from there is that, one, insurance providers are private, and therefore most of the time they don't even check the accuracy vehicle record as captured in the registry of the motor vehicles. That's number one. And two...
Are you making an accusation here against
I'm not making an accusation. It's true.
Companies?
It's true. They don't have access to vehicle records in the government. Okay?
But
that's
they
number
check
one.
Vehicles every year before issuing.
That's number one. Now, number two, many Kenyans, including myself, have gotten an insurance without ever my vehicle ever being seen physically.
Well, engineer, are you now admitting that you get insurance without having your car properly evaluated?
You call your agent and they give you the insurance. That's true.
So you've done it
let's
before.
be practical. I mean, we are not living in utopia here.
Yeah.
Many people call agents and they give them insurance stickers, and the reason why we need to have interaction with these
You
people...
included. So should
Even
we also
myself,
be checking your vehicle? Is it amongst
myself,
those that are...
because of my relationship with my agent, I call them and they bring for me the sticker. It works.
Okay.
Third, is one of the reasons why we need to have the physical interaction with these vehicles is even to protect the insurance industry itself. The insurance industry has had a lot of fraud where they find that a single registration number has several vehicles and they are insured. If you talk about insurance fraud, and I think Aki will talk to this, that is a problem. So the insurance will really be backed up by accurate records from the vehicle registry. Actually, if you look at other countries, what they do is that they even renew vehicle registration certificate, what we call logbook. And before you renew it, you take the vehicle for physical inspection. And before you do that, before you do all this, you cannot get an insurance. Dubai is an example. You have the vehicle physically checked, you renew its registration certificate, and before that, you cannot get an insurance. So it's basically what we are doing is actually to grow even the insurance industry, because they are making terrible losses when it comes to motor insurance.
And the losses that they're making is due to?
The confusion we have in the terms of vehicle registry. Okay. Because the registrar of motor vehicle registers a vehicle once and forget about the vehicle. It is our role. The reason why we are a registrar of motor vehicle is to help all the aspects of the economy that depends on the vehicle registry.
So you're
from
helping
financial
the
institutions,
sector.
Insurance, transport planning, energy planning, all these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have another question now. And this is, I'm sure you've seen this, so we want this opportunity for you to debunk this. So, and this is moving now away from inspections to the issue of fines. I'd like us to begin with this question from Donald Kipkorir. So he talked about his brother being on the road and attracting a fine. He makes the payment to a bank branch, and then the name comes back and it's in the name of an individual. Could you explain that?
Actually, I saw this thing yesterday, and immediately I contacted KCB. And I asked them, please investigate this thing and give me the exact thing that happened. Because honestly speaking, this is not the first fine that has been paid. Several fines have been paid, and this is the only one that has had this kind of issue. And this is exactly what happened in this situation. And I have evidence even here in my phone. I can show you.
Yeah, just take us
this
through
is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
The gentleman walked into a bank, a banking hall, find a KCB agent. If you go to any KCB branch, you will find an agent in the branch itself, not outside, inside the banking hall. You will find an agent. Sometimes you want queue, go to the teller, but sometimes you just want to go to the agent and and transact there. Personally, I've done it. The guy walks into the agent, and because he didn't have cash, talk to the agent and transfer the money to the agent. And the agent actually pays the fine into the account. I have a receipt that is provided by KCB. I think KCB is such a serious bank, they won't give me a receipt that is modified with the exact timing. A receipt is given, and the guy is given a receipt. When he transferred the money to the agent's account, the name Jerono comes out, okay? Jerono is a registered KCB agent and is seated in the banking hall of KCB and helps the guy, because he just had M-Pesa, transfer the money to his account, to her agent's account, and pays and gives the receipt. And the receipt is clear which account, and the operator is clear. Jerono, the lady that did the transaction, really. Even if we are to create a lie, I think it should be a better lie. This is exactly what happened.
So do you think they're lying, or they were just seeking clarification on why?
But why were they sharing the SMS between the transaction between the guy and the agent, but deliberately leaving out the receipt they were given that has even the payment details?
So what are you saying about Donald Kipkorir and what he was trying to say?
Maybe he was misled by someone. Maybe it was deliberate, I don't know. But honestly, I don't know the intention of this. Because from my own, because as an accounting officer, I really took my time to ask, can you give me every single thing that happened? That is exactly what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us how payments are then made. So let's talk about, the instant fines. People receive a message, from NTSA saying you've violated speed limit X, and we know what those bans are looking like at the moment. So what do they do with that message? Take us through those steps after they receive that.
When you receive the message is actually a notification. When you open the link, you get the details of how you can pay. And right now, we have only two options. One, KCB agent or KCB branch. You walk into a KCB agent or a KCB branch with the account details and pay. And you get your physical receipt. And that's it.
And the account details are?
They are there.
Yes.
The reference is there.
So it's, because there's fraud already. You know this, right?
No, the fraud is there.
No, hang on a minute. There's messages, you know how Kenyans can be. Now that this is there, I want you to take them through it so that when they receive a message, they know exactly what to do. And when they see a message that doesn't look like based on the method that you give, that's all I'm trying to ask here. So you receive that message, it's got a notification. What does the message say?
The message will give you your registration number of the vehicle.
Okay.
So if it doesn't have the registration number of your vehicle, it's definitely fake. Okay, number one. Number two, it will give you the exact location where the offense happened, where you were speeding. And that's two. Number three, it will give you even the exact violation in terms of the traffic law violation. It will give you a specific violation details. Three, the SMS will come from NTSA. It will not come from a private number.
Okay.
It will come from NTSA short code. And it is written there, NTSA registered short code. You will see NTSA and not any other number. If you receive any message from a private number, that's definitely a fraud.
Okay.
And when you click it, it will give you an OTP, which means they already have your number. It will not give you an open check where you put any registration number of a vehicle, and it will not ask you the reason.
Okay.
When you log in, it will give you an OTP to your phone because you already have your details because it's registered with vehicle details. And once you log in, you will now even see your vehicle itself. The camera that captured your vehicle, you will see your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see a vehicle that is not yours, then you have all the room to contest. Okay? And that is when you see the details of payment. And the payment can only happen in a KCB branch, which means you have to be physically there or somebody is sent physically, or a KCB agent.
Okay. Can I ask why you use that route? Why not use e-Citizen? The government is digitizing everything and requiring all payments made through e-Citizen. I mean, school fees, students in university, while buying food at the mess, have to make that payment through e-Citizen. Why aren't you using that as a portal of payment?
The reason why we are not using that is because of the fraud that we are talking about. You see, when it is M-Pesa, confusing somebody is very. So we are just having a second layer before people know exactly. You see the way.
No, hang on. Let me understand. You're not using e-Citizen because of fear of fraud with e-Citizen?
You know, for e-Citizen, the payment mostly is M-Pesa.
Okay.
And credit card. There's no cash payment and there is no physical interaction. We are adding physical interaction because before we even launched this, we had a lot of people who are sending SMSs that they are doing fines. So out of abundance of caution, and just to protect Kenyans, we added the other layer of physical interaction. And by the way, even e-Citizen payments to NTSA are going through KCB. It's the banking.
Okay.
It's the back end.
So you require somebody to walk physically to a bank to pay?
Yes, or a KCB.
Let me ask this question. If this fine is noted in Kiambu County and you're in Kilifi, you have to walk into a bank and pay money in cash, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So cash is there's less fraud with cash than there is with mobile money?
We are just creating another layer of check. Because you will go there, you have the reference, you will find the reference reflected in the bank system. So that you're not paying money to an account without another check.
But e-Citizen, for instance, you can pay for anything, including your passport. It doesn't require you to physically be present to do a physical check.
But you see,
even the driver's license, which by the way is on the NTSA portal, you do it via e-Citizen. Have you seen cases of fraud?
There's no institution in the government that has used e-Citizen more than NTSA.
So why not use it
actually, to say the truth, we may have been even be called e-Citizen. Many people even confused us to be the one running e-Citizen. So we have used e-Citizen more than any other institution. For us to choose this route, it means that when introducing this product to the market, we were aware of all the loops. Look at this. This is a case where SMS is the one that is sent. Okay, so you are not in a platform. If you look at all the other services that are happening, you are doing a workflow, which is the payment is actually one of the stages in the workflow. So you are not going outside. This is an SMS, and the SMS does not give you all the details. You have to go to another link.
Okay, let me ask
and this is where...
Because you say you use, perhaps no one has used e-Citizen more than NTSA has.
Exactly.
So is there some fraud you've picked up on that that has led you to this? Because, I think the e-Citizen number is... I just want to understand, because these are questions, by the way, that are all coming in.
When you're introducing, when you're introducing a new product in the market, you design what we call customer journey. You try to look at how the customer walk through the entire process end to end. And to protect the customer, you want to look at the possible fraud elements that can happen, especially for digital products like what we are introducing to the market. So what you want to do is just to make sure that the customer is protected, like in this case, before they know the product so well. It's very different what we are doing with these instant fines with what we are doing with our normal workflow, like vehicle registration, vehicle transfer, driver license. It's very different.
How different?
The difference is, here in driver license, you are in a secure portal. First of all, we verify you are who you claim to be, okay? Then you initiate the transaction and it flows step by step, and the payment stage is within a secure platform. In this other one, the initial communication that triggers you to pay is an SMS, totally outside the platform. And then you have to click, and that's what the fraudsters are trying to do. You have to click to see all the details. The fraudsters are trying to hijack that process by sending you a fake SMS so that you click and pay. Now, if ours was also to click and pay, then we'll be playing into the hands of these fraudsters. But in this case, we are saying you click, you see the details, then we have a third eye, which is the physical agent or the teller with the details of the ticket itself with them.
Do you have enough agents and...
More than enough. KCB agents are everywhere.
How many?
Of course, to be honest, I don't have the exact numbers, but really in every corner of the estate, you will find a KCB agent and a KCB branch. And besides, we have 7 days to do this. And a third, you don't have to do it yourself. You can send somebody. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take another question here. This is from Victor. Ask the Director General, in the event that a rented car speeds, who gets billed the fine?
The owner. You know who rented your car. So if you are clearing with them by the end of the renting period, they pay. Okay. They pay you.
All right. I want to ask a question about, the speed limits, on the various roads. Do you have signage on every road, every highway about what the speed limits are?
We have, but the truth is there's quite a number of vandalism that has happened. And actually part of our rollout process was to really just make sure that for every camera installed, there is a speed limit sign. Not just the speed limit sign, but also the sign showing you that your speed is being monitored. Actually, the truth is our intention is road safety.
Okay, let's answer the question first.
So,
how many
as part of
are all the road signs?
No.
Okay. Was this a mandate by the court?
In terms of?
A court order to ensure that you have signage everywhere?
There's no court order like that, but the truth is that part of our rollout, part of the project, is just to make sure that every single place we put a speed camera, there is a signage. And of course, you are aware that we have a court case here. And actually, the PPP project, which was supposed to do these signages, has been put to a halt.
Yes.
So we cannot continue with the rollout, but the complete rollout program includes signage, includes clear markings.
Okay, so just to understand, you cannot continue with the rollout of?
Additional cameras.
Okay, but where you have cameras, do you have signage?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
Where that states, one, you are being monitored, and what the speed limits
for now, it's basically that the road signage.
Huh?
It's just basically the road signage.
Saying what?
But you know the road signage.
No,
speed limit.
You're the Director General.
Speed limit road signage is something that's taught in every driving school. You will see 50, if it is 50 with the round like this. You will see 80, round like this, a signage. It's there.
on all the roads where cameras are being monitored?
Where our speed camera set up, that is there.
No. On every road. So how many roads?
Not every road. So every place where our speed cameras are, and they are not very many, by the way. Even as much as we are only out 5 plus another 3 mobile ones.
Sorry, 5 plus another?
3 mobile.
3 mobile ones.
Yeah.
Where are they?
The 5 ones are just here. There's one in Red Hill, there's one in Thika Road, and another 2 in Southern Bypass. That's it. Then we have mobile cameras that we deploy as part of the pilot was to deploy based on the risk level. Like you see, you also static cameras are static, as the name suggests, but you also want to have a flexibility in the implementation so that you can deploy when there's a risk level. So we have 3 cameras.
So where are they deployed?
It's mobile, as the name suggests.
Yeah. So like where?
They're based on the risk level of the road. So today they may be in Salga, tomorrow they're in Kisii.
So does the risk level vary from time to time?
Because we have so many places. And you know, we are supposed to have 1,000 cameras, by the way. Yeah. And because of the court cases, we are just using the one that we had done before the court cases.
So they move, which are some of the areas that you've determined that have risk?
You see, like I can tell you that in the northern corridor, which is the road between Mombasa and Malaba, we have 20 what I call the high-risk areas or black spots. That is on this road from Mombasa to Malaba alone. Then all the other highways, there are other risk areas. Actually, we are talking about 129 black spots in the major highways that we know.
So how do you make the decision, because you've got 3 mobile cameras?
Because of the restriction. You know, we were supposed to have actually 300 mobile cameras and 700 fixed.
Okay. I'm asking for the 3 that you say you have. How do you make the decision? Is it made on a day-to-day basis, monthly basis, seasonal?
It's done on a day-to-day because, to be honest with you, Yvonne, this was not the way we planned to run this. We planned that by now we'll be having almost like 200. And because of the court cases, we really are not running our plan. We are static. We stopped rollout.
So, yeah.
So we are just continuing what we had during the transition.
So what I'm asking is, out of those 3 mobile, cameras that you say you have, on what basis do you make the deployment?
We just now
like, do you wake up today?
Right now, we just do region. Like, if this week we are in this region,
that's what
the next we move from one black spot to the next. The next week we are in another region. We move from one black spot to another. Okay. It's not a very good one, but it's something. Okay. It's changing the behavior.
All right. And when you're there, do you have signage that there is a mobile camera?
Definitely, we do have road signage. Road signage is enough communication, by the way. The communication that there is, there's a camera monitoring is additional. But literally, a road is supposed to communicate with the people. The moment you see a speed limit sign, as a driver, what you're trained to do is to obey that road signage.
Okay. I'm asking again about the idea that they're being monitored.
No, that is an additional element that we have not put in any road.
Okay, thank you. That answers the question. Then let's take a look at another question here from Eric Mwangili. Says, ask him why we have a ridiculous, in his words, speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour on a major highway. This is what causes snarl-ups, eventually creates fatigue, resulting in the likeliness of causing accidents.
Let me put it this way. Road signages are not just arbitrary, especially speed limits. They're not arbitrary. This is engineering. And engineers design the road and design how the road is supposed to be used. When they say 50, they are not just looking at your vehicle. They're looking at so many other factors. Maybe they're looking at the bend or even the tilt of the road. So for you may be seeing a smooth tarmac, but for engineers, They're even seeing the inclination of your vehicle on a hill. For you, you might be seeing a smooth tarmac. For engineers, they might be seeing an animal migration on that road. So there are so many factors that you consider, and the road engineers actually design the road and put these speed limits based on the road use, based on the context and land use around the road, and based on even the topography of the road. And it's not a one answer question like, if it is a freeway, then it must have 50 or 200 and something like that. So again, in terms of cost of the road constructions, you also want, if you want a very straight road, you may have to displace so many people, and the cost will go high. So it will have a lot of bends, and it will not give you the speed limits that you want cruise at 200 kilometers per hour.
Okay. Here is another one. I think it's, if we can take a look at that. This is responding to what you'd mentioned about, the fraud and not using eCitizen. Asks, why is the fine system not hosted within NTSA Kenya portal to allow for a secure online payment?
I honestly don't understand why what talking about hosting, because
I think
from where I sit, it is fines.ntsa.go.ke. That is the payment, but it's a subdomain of ntsa.go.ke.
I think it was in response to what you'd said when we talked about why this is not being hosted or payments are not being made
that's
through
the payment channel.
Citizen.
Yeah, that's payment channel.
Okay, but you had said that the difference between, the fines and, for instance, paying for a driver's license and other services on NTSA is that is hosted within the eCitizen platform.
I was explaining different customer journey or workflows. The other workflows assumes that you are not within the platform, the software. But it doesn't mean that when you're going to pay, you are not in that platform. So it's only that this other one has an element of the SMS that now prompts you to access. That's the whole difference. So hosting here, all these systems are hosted within NTSA ecosystem. But then, of course, I think maybe I'm confusing. IT guys think hosting is different thing. Maybe they are talking about the payment gateway. For the payment gateway, we have the eCitizen, which we use for our normal workflow. But because of the nature of this kind of payment and how they are processed, and the fact that we need to protect the eCitizen from all this fraud, we added the other element of physical contact with KCB.
Let's take another question from Boxio Mundial. One, matatus and bodas are driving recklessly, overtaking on urban roads, driving on the wrong lane and being completely unlawful. Why has NTSA done nothing? Number one. Number two, matatus and Ubers park on pavements and public roads, for instance, at Parkland's Baptist Road Church. Why has NTSA done nothing?
Well, when you talk about road safety and road transport, we are talking about three elements of road safety: the enforcement, the engineering, and education. What Clinton is addressing here is basically enforcement. And the enforcement is something that we are actually currently trying to aggressively address. One, working with the police, and another element working with the county governments. That's one. And two, the problem with Ubers and matatus is a whole different problem. It's a problem of how we organize transport in the country, and that's another handle that we are addressing in terms of the operation of the public transport and the problem of the Ubers. The Ubers have one major problem. One, the too many drivers. We have 60,000 against a market that require only around 15 to 20,000. So there's oversubscription and there's fewer rides. and this brings about frustration. The other one has to do with the pricing. These are the things that even the president talked about. We are trying to look at the pricing so that at least these people have something to take home. So you may see that aggressiveness of the matatus and aggressiveness of the Uber drivers, and it boils down to the model that they are operating. So as much as you want to do enforcement alone might not solve it. So we are doing enforcement, but we're also looking at the model that they operate so that we can see where can government interventions come.
So where would those be?
Yeah?
Where do the solutions lie?
The solutions lies in having an organized public transport. That's number one, with a strong government support and subsidy. So we are looking at formalizing public transport. You know, right now, the so-called circles are really not operating those vehicles. The vehicles are operated by the vehicle owners. So we are looking at formalizing them and making them have better capacity to operate properly. And also we are exploring, actually we have designed what we call a credit guarantee scheme, which is basically to support public transport operators to be able to purchase the right type of vehicles, but with a lot of conditions on even the standard of service and operational model. That is to just reorganize them so that they behave well.
Do you think we have too many matatus on the road?
From where I sit, if you are keen on the news, that's the reason why I stopped licensing of new operators. Just to really, you know, when you are in a hole, you stop digging. I think we may not have very many matatus on the road, but the manner in which they are organized could make one route have too many, and the other route is starved.
And who is in charge of licensing these?
NTSA is in charge of licensing public transport operators.
Okay, so my next question then is, if you say there's a problem with how they're run, and you are the ones in charge of licensing them and making sure their operations are in line, is that a failure on NTSA's part?
You may call it a failure on NTSA part, and you know, sometimes it's good just to own up and say, okay, this has been our failure. And you know, I'm a DG for the last 4 months, and I've identified this as a problem. And transforming public transport is something that takes a lot of time. I can tell you that even some of the things I'm starting now, they will bear fruits in 10, 20 years. So it will take a bit of some time, but at least for now, since I became a DG just 3 months ago, or 4 months ago, I've been able to identify that there's a problem with the way we license them. So I stopped even licensing in the first place so that we complete the review and relook at how the licensing is done.
Okay, so licensing is one, enforcement is another, which I think is what he's talking about. But Bona DG, you rely largely on the the police service for enforcement. How does a unit like yours rely on a unit that doesn't report to you with respect to enforcement?
We have one government, Yvonne, and NTSA is not the only institution that rely on police for enforcement. Airport relies on police for enforcement. Border control, KRA, rely on police for enforcement. Even NEMA rely on police for enforcement. Even KENHA rely on police on enforcement or axolotl control. We are not the only one that rely on police for enforcement. What we are talking about right now is basically making that working arrangement really hard-coded it, kind of an MOU, so that we have a clear standard operational procedure that we operate with and make sure that it is effective. But the relationship between NTSA and NPS is not something that is unusual.
Okay, with what you've said, it's clear that the police is overwhelmed by, you know, all of these other government agencies that it needs to work with in terms of enforcement. And you've correctly pointed that out. Are there any reform questions that you are considering to make NTSA more efficient in this respect? And I'll give you an example. There's other jurisdictions where, you know, transport safety exists, similar to NTSA, which has a chain of command all the way down to the traffic line. Is it something, in your view, to have reforms that allows NTSA to have its own enforcement mechanism?
Our approach, and each and every jurisdiction is different, and Kenya is also different. What we're looking at is, of course, we're doing some kind of reforms when it comes to the enforcement. And one of the approaches that we're looking at is just looking at even the traffic offenses management. We are trying to look at minor traffic offenses to be administrative, so that at least a civilian institution can do it. As long as it's criminal, the police must be involved. But as we speak, the laws in the land is criminal. All the traffic laws are criminal in nature, whether minor or major offenses, they are criminal in nature. So you have to make use of police. But we are looking at reforms around the regulations and the legal reforms, such that majority of these offenses becomes administrative. And when they become administrative, it means that we can use NTSA processes to enforce some of them. That is one. The other one is basically just working with NPS to make sure that all these things are happening. Because again, you can't divorce traffic enforcement from certain criminal elements. For traffic enforcement to work and effectively work, you also want to look at also the criminal things that are happening around around transport and transportation. So you really might not divorce this after, even if you put it administrative. The vehicle identity theft, the criminal angle to this, you can't eliminate. Okay. So the NTSA and NPS actually are tied at the hip. We just are trying to relook at how do we work to make the whole process effective.
Okay. Bwana DG, I'd like to ask you this. How does NTSA deal with political instructions?
Yvonne, government is run by politically elected leadership, okay? So politics is part of our governance structure. And when you talk about political instruction, I want to believe that you are talking about the party or the political party in power, or the leadership of the political parties in power. A government institution like NTSA implement the manifesto of the political party in power. What we do and how we do it is very simple. We follow what we call lawful instruction. And that's what is expected from government officer. Okay, let me ask you this. And a lawful instruction can come in any format. It can come in terms of the directive by elected president, and they're called presidential directive, and they're lawful.
Okay, let me ask you this. You've just said that NTSA is there to fulfill the manifesto of a party in power.
That is one of any government institution work to fulfill the promises that were made to the public by the ruling party.
Okay.
That is one.
Let me ask, just so that we can go step by step here. Yeah. What gives NTSA its mandate?
The NTSA mandate is defined in the law, the act.
All right.
Yeah.
So NTSA is NTSA.
Yes.
You are Director General of NTSA.
Yes.
Based on the manifesto of a political party or of the law?
No, of the law. But you see, the manifesto of the political party is the act that creates NTSA, the NTSA Act, have a mandate, a clearly defined mandate.
Okay.
One
and was that
is listen.
No.
Just listen.
No, hang on 1 minute, because I'd like us to follow this.
Yeah.
So wait, NTSA is in place because of a law.
Yes.
When was that law created?
The law was created in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which party was in power in 2012?
Jubilee.
Okay. Was it Jubilee that created NTSA law?
No.
Okay. But now you say your role is to fulfill the manifesto of the political party that is in power?
Listen, Yvonne. Listen. This is how government is structured. In Kenya, we have what we call Vision 2030, which is a long-term vision of the country that defines the development program, and it defines what every single government entity must do to achieve this agenda.
Okay.
That's one.
And is Vision 2030?
Yeah.
Is Vision 2030?
Just listen to me.
No, because I want to understand this.
Just listen to me.
Is Vision 2030 a manifesto of a political party? What is Vision 2030?
I was breaking it down to
what is Vision 2030?
It's a long-term national economic plan.
Is it a manifesto?
No.
Is it belonging to one political party?
Every single political party derives their manifesto based on Vision 2030. So they can segment it.
So political parties derive their manifesto from Vision 2030?
Yes, like Better Agenda is basically how we are implementing Vision 2030 based on the current government. Okay? Remember President Uhuru's second term? It was called, I think there were 4 pillars, which, again, you have to align your priorities, your work plans, your implementation, again, of your mandate.
Okay. Tell us which part, then, of the ruling party's manifesto that you, as Director General of NTSA, is implementing.
When we talk of Better Agenda, we are talking about ease of doing business, which is one of the things that we are doing, just making sure that if you're interacting with NTSA, you find it easy. A very good example, we introduced e-logbook the other day, and we make sure that it's one touch to interact with government, saving you time to go about doing your business. If you want to get funds based on your vehicle records, you can get it within the shortest time possible. That's ease of doing business. Another on job creation or supporting SMEs. Most of the people we regulate in transport fall under what we call SMEs. And it is our job, and that's why I'm talking about formalization of public transport. It's our job to make sure that decent jobs are created there. Okay? And these businesses grow in terms of investment and the way they do business. The other one is manufacturing. There's a huge manufacturing component in transport. There is the dealers and all that. So how we handle them and make sure.
How does NTSA then take a look at the manufacturing agenda?
The manufacturing agenda, the vehicle manufacturing really depends on how the vehicles are registered, the process of registering those vehicles, and the elements of making sure that when a manufacturer wants to sell the vehicle, it's as fast as possible. That's the support that you can give them.
Okay.
And lastly is the economic growth, which again road safety become very significant. I can tell you, when we talk about road safety, we are talking about a loss of GDP of around 450 billion annually. It is our job, if this economy has to grow, to reduce this impact on the economy. And again, the deaths on the road is claiming mostly people between 19 and 45 years old. This is the most productive segment of the economy. Actually, I really will say that when you see a road fatality, it means somebody is widowed, or somebody has lost a breadwinner, or somebody has lost
This is true, DG.
orphan.
Because you now say your role at NTSA is to fulfill the manifesto of the ruling party. So tell me, do you receive your instructions from the UDA party headquarters?
But the manifesto is already written, and it's a clear document. You combine the manifesto, you combine it with the NTSA Act, you combine it with the constitution of the country, you combine it with the long-term vision of the country, and then you find your dimension.
What happens?
And that is what is expected.
What happens if the manifesto of a political party differs with the mandate under law of NTSA?
It can't differ, because it can't differ.
Okay.
Because it is all about what your mandate, you do within your mandate to fulfill the manifesto. So if it differs, it means it is in a different institution. It belongs to a different institution. It's not your mandate.
Okay, let me ask you this. There was a recent High Court ruling that upheld a directive by yourself, NTSA, to ban graffiti, tinted windows, decorative artworks on all public service vehicles. Later, high-ranking politician, we all know who he is, subsequently intervened and directed you to allow the continued use of artwork and graffiti. As NTSA, that is mandated by law, do you follow a court order or do you follow that of a politician in the country? What's your guiding principle?
Yvonne, you don't want to put it in dichotomy like it's either this or that. You don't want to put it that way because as
is it
the
not
accounting officer,
is it not clear?
As accounting officer, the problem of graffiti is not a simple problem. It's the way the public transport is organized. So I can tell you, and I can face Kenyans and tell them, that graffiti is a symptom of a major problem of how public transport is organized.
Okay, so let me understand. Why did,
as an implementer,
help me understand, why did NTSA then ban graffiti, tinted windows, and decorative artwork?
This is one of the things that are in the PSV regulations that defines how a PSV vehicle should look like. Okay? And this is far back in 2016, actually 2014, far back there. And I am telling you that for me, having traveled even across the world, the decorative artworks exist, okay? And even the directive that we are talking about, the directive by the president, he actually said that NTSA to work with these guys to have the graffitis in a way that does not compromise road safety.
My question now comes back to you,
if you
which was, what was the reasoning? And you've said...
The reasoning is very simple.
It goes against PSV regulations?
No. Even the PSV regulations, by the way, there's nothing that the president said that was against
Wait.
The PSV regulations.
I'm asking you, as Director General of NTSA, why you banned graffiti and tinted windows?
The graffiti and tinted windows, if you dare check the regulations, it's very, very clear. Don't put them in a place that compromise safety. When I talk about compromising safety, the visibility, especially the front, the mirrors that you are able to see what is happening.
Yeah.
Basically, to make sure that when a driver is in control, he's in control of the vehicle.
Okay.
And that is road safety.
Okay. So then let's go step by step. So you said there's PSV regulations that were back in 2024, right?
2014.
2014, excuse me. You're right. So in 2014, was this based on the manifesto of a party that was in power in 2014?
No.
Okay, what was it based on?
These are regulations that are based on the law.
Thank you. So not a manifesto, but a law.
Listen,
I want us to go step by step. Wait. I think if we...
Just get me right, because I think we are going to misconstrue a lot of things here. What I mentioned about the manifesto, these are short-term economic plans. There's long-term economic plan. And don't read them in isolation.
Good. No, that's where I'm getting to, because if you're talking about long-term planning, which is why in 2014 these regulations...
And every long-term plan is implemented using short-term plans, Yvonne.
Well...
Yes. You have to break it down into chunks.
Good.
And these chunks...
Which is what I'm trying to do with understanding what happened with this directive. So 2014, there are regulations that say you can't have tinted windows for safety reasons, making sure that the driver can see it, right?
But you know, I just being honest with you, Yvonne. I have told you again and again that personally, and even as an accounting officer of NTSA, my priority actually is to reorganize public transport.
Engineer Kandiwa,
yes.
This is the explainer. So I'd like us to have you explain things step by step.
Okay.
So let's follow this procedure, right? So 2014, there are regulations that say tinted windows are for safety reasons, right? You then enforce that and ban graffiti.
Yeah.
Then there is
2022, somebody went to court.
Yes,
okay.
Then there's a constitutional, petition challenging the ban. On April 29th this year, a judge dismisses that petition and upholds your directive as lawful, right? And they say, in fact, you were doing the right thing in prioritizing passenger and public safety concerns over artistic expressions, correct? Then the president comes and overrules that.
No. What did the president say?
He ordered you to do what?
No, what did the president say?
That's what I'm asking you.
The president said that NTSA work with the operators to have graffitis in a manner that does not compromise safety.
Okay.
Which is exactly what the regulation says.
So was your ban unlawful to begin with?
Even the ban was about safety. The ban is about where it is placed and how it affects the safety of the vehicle and the road users.
Okay. So the manifesto does not follow here?
You see, when I talked about manifesto, I'm talking about a clear blueprint that formed the transaction between electorates and the head of state. Okay? And it is not something that is far-fetched. It's clearly constitutional. You have to combine it with the constitution. You have to combine it with your mandate, and you have to combine it with the long-term economic plan of the country. This is how government is run. And it is not some of these discussions that we are having here.
I'd like to give you a moment to give your closing thoughts here as we finish.
My closing thought is that I think as a country we need to really be clear on what we want. And we should not have these sometimes excitements when certain things are happening, but really look at the deeper aspect of why certain things are happening and how they happen. Because some of the things that government do, like an institution that is having public trust, like NTSA, we work for the public. We need to really look at things in long term, so that if I am doing something today, the exact impact might be 20 years' time. A very good example is Sweden, who came up with Vision Zero on road fatalities in 1997. And last year, they achieved 0 deaths on the road. Japan, 55 years ago, came up with Vision Zero, which they implement with short terms of 5 years each. And they are almost close to having 0 fatalities. I really expect Kenyans to really see the dotted line and the joints for each of these things that we do, especially as they contribute to the development of the country, and especially on our core agenda, which is road fatalities reduction and organized transport. It may not be immediately clear, but I will urge Kenyans to really rely on credible information. We have seen a lot of misinformation out there. I know there is the social media and all that, but it will be good that Kenyans get these things right from the people that are doing it.
Okay.
And to trust government officers. We live in the society, we know what is going on, and none of these things are designed from outside the context of the community.
All right.
Thank you.
I know that was your final one, but somebody has asked me, and perhaps this is so important that we cannot let you leave without responding to what we are seeing in the matatu sector. It's called Manyoka. It's a risky matatu stunts that are conducted on the roads, and the latest incident left 5 people dead in a crash. I'd just like you to comment on this, how this is still happening and what you're doing to stop it.
And actually, that's what I tried to explain to you, Yvonne. I didn't have a good time to explain to you the context of public transport in this country. This is a huge thing. Actually, if there is something much bigger that I'm trying to do, is to reorganize the way public transport is run. And it is much bigger than the manyokas, the graffitis, and all this noise that we have. The whole issue is around the model of public transport that we are operating in this country. We don't have a public transport. And it is one of my core objectives that by the time I leave NTSA, at least I need to leave this country with some level of order in public transport. And all these things that we are seeing, the manyokas, the violence that we see in public transport, is all because of the way the public transport is organized. So I'm really trying to address the root cause rather than acting on impulse and reactive.
But with this one, 5 people dead, and you're seeing these stunts, and they're using social media to, go viral, and you become popular. So just a specific comment on this manyoka. What do you think about it? Do you know who they are?
It's the wrong thing.
Are they being
risky.
arrested?
It's the wrong thing.
How do you prevent this from happening?
It's the wrong thing, and it's risky. And hunting down these drivers is a problem that you don't do unless you address the way they operate. Okay? Because one thing that is clear, Yvonne, is that these people who are driving these matatus are not even employed.
Okay, before we get to
Please.
That. No, DG.
I really
DG,
want you to understand.
DG.
Because you see, if we reduce it, honestly, if we reduce it to hunting down individuals, you are fighting a losing battle.
Can you not do both at the same time? Which is
it is possible because these are criminal activities.
Please hang on 1 minute. Fixing the long-term bigger problems is commendable and is the way to go.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not living in utopia. And let me address your question now directly.
I haven't asked it.
No, you have asked.
No,
you have asked what I'm doing about manyoka and the behaviors on the road.
No, I've not finished formulating my question. So do you want
to... But you asked a question and...
I'm still asking the question.
Okay, ask.
Or would you like to answer another question?
Because for me, you asked, what are we doing about
And then I'm trying
manyoka?
To seek clarification.
Okay.
From your response, follow-up question, which is, you're right, you have to fix the bigger issues.
Yeah.
But by the time you fix the issues of unemployment and you get jobs, which is not one of NTSA alone, correct? It's a wider government approach. Am I right? Am I right?
Partly.
Yes.
Anyway.
Or is it NTSA's mandate alone to provide...
NTSA is the regulator of public transport. So as much as there are other elements of government, we lead.
Yeah. In employment?
No. You see, if you are a regulator of public transport or any other industry, it's your job to make sure that there are decent employment in that sector.
And I agree with that.
Thank you.
What I'm saying is that is one also a long-term problem that you solve, because you're not going to get people jobs tomorrow, right? But what is directly within your mandate is also, you can do 2 things at the same time, is to catch these people who are engaging in this dangerous stunts. So my question is...
elements.
Right.
The criminal element in public transport. And how we are handling it right now, actually we have tightened the compliance. We have even drawn an SLA that we want every single public transport operator to abide by.
That wasn't my question, which is why I would like it if you allow me to finish my question. Have you caught the people who are behind this particular stunt?
Yeah, we deal with the operators. We are the one who license them. But you see, for the operators, they have to produce the individuals that are doing that.
Okay, so have you caught them?
Yes.
Have you fined the operators?
You see, in the regulations, we don't have fining. We can just suspend your license or revoke your license. You
so have you done that?
Yes.
Okay. How do you make sure this doesn't happen again? There's the long-term issues, but just as NTSA, strictly within your mandate.
Yvonne, I want you to understand something. If you are talking about how to stop it from happening again, then we are talking about the measures that we are taking to make sure that these people change the way they operate. And that's the long term I was talking about. If we are talking about the short term, in terms of how these people are organized right now, how we respond to compliance issues right now, that is what we do on a day-to-day basis. Actually, as we speak, I formed a special committee that specifically look at how each of these operators are operating, looking at how they handle their vehicles in terms of maintenance, looking how they employ their drivers, who are these drivers, where are they, and do they have a clear terms of employment. This is how we make sure that these issues of manioka things and wrong behaviors are snapped, even as we handle the long-term aspect.
All right. For that, I want to thank you. Thank you for your time here, Director General of NTSA, Engineer Nashan Kondiwa. We appreciate your time. We wish you the best, and let's see how this goes. Just to reiterate, as you said, there will be no enforcement until all of the inspection centers are fully established. That's by
enforcement of mandatory inspection of private vehicles.
So that is anywhere next year, June,
yes,
when there are enough centers for everybody to go get inspected.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And for that clarification and being on the explainer, let's take a break. We come back with the day's business and sports center. The country has secured $1.25 billion, or over 160 billion Kenya shillings, in fresh loans from the World Bank, providing a boost to public finances as the government seeks cheaper funding amid mounting debt pressures. The funding under the Development Policy Operation Framework is not project-specific. However, the government must demonstrate concrete policy and institutional reforms before the funds are released. And as our reporter Jasmine Wamboy explains, this is the 7th funding cycle for Kenya since the first in 2018.
Barely 2 weeks after President William Ruto met World Bank President Ajay Banga, the country has secured $750 million, or about 97 billion shillings, in fresh financing. This financing package will support government reforms aimed at strengthening public finances and reducing corruption as the government grapples with high debt and growing financing needs. The funding, approved under the World Bank's Development Policy Operation Program, will provide direct budget support rather than finance specific projects. It consists of a $410 million concessional loan and a further $340 million from the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. The approval follows a series of reforms by the government, including the implementation of new conflict of interest regulations for public officials, the rollout of a Treasury single account to improve management of public funds, and the expansion of electronic procurement to make government contracting more transparent. The program also supports reforms to social protection by strengthening the system used to identify households eligible for government assistance, with the aim of reducing duplication and ensuring support reaches the most vulnerable. The financing comes as the government seeks cheaper sources of funding to ease pressure from rising debt repayments. This $750 million loan comes alongside a separate $500 million sustainability loan. The package raises the country's latest World Bank financing to $1.25 billion. That's about 162 billion shillings. The World Bank says Kenya's economy is expected to grow by 4.3% this year, but warns that high public debt, persistent fiscal deficits, and weak job creation remain key risks. This underscores the need for continued fiscal and governance reforms. Jasmine Wamboi, Citizen TV.
Kenya freight forwarders, in partnership with local insurance firms, have launched a domestic marine cargo insurance solution aimed at keeping insurance premiums within the country while reducing foreign exchange outflows. The initiative, spearheaded by the Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, KIFWA, takes effect on the 1st of July in line with Section 16A of the Marine Insurance Act, which requires all importers into Kenya to digitally secure marine cargo insurance from locally licensed insurance companies before obtaining customs clearance. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
The launch of the domestic marine cargo insurance solution now offers importers an option to secure local marine insurance as the country moves to implement the domestication of marine insurance for all importers.
A trading nation that does not control the insurance of its own imports cannot be said to be fully sovereign over its trade. The marine cargo insurance framework is therefore not merely a regulatory compliance tool, it is a statement of economic sovereignty. It is Kenya declaring that we are not only a corridor for other nations.
The platform is set to increase efficiency by providing a seamless, secure and fully compliant digital solution for obtaining marine cargo insurance certificates through an integrated ecosystem linked to payment gateways provided by eCitizen, KRA, ICMS, M-Pesa and participating banking institutions as well as the relevant regulatory bodies.
The volume of cargo handled by clearing agents through KPA was 45.45 million metric tons of cargo. We foresee a situation whereby this year that figure will increase exponentially by around 10%, same as even the customs revenue.
Insurers say the move will establish a new benchmark for marine cargo insurance, opening the door for additional solutions tailored specifically to the logistics sector.
As the underwriters, we bring the underwriting capacity, the capital required to do this business, and importantly also the commitment to pay claims faster. So besides the platform that we are launching today, what we are exploring and committing to KIFWA members, that we would be looking at other solutions that also then make your work easier.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The government has officially launched the National Agri-Food Systems Investment Plan, or NASIP, a 1 trillion shilling investment framework aimed at transforming Kenya's agricultural sector over the next 5 years. The blueprint, unveiled during the opening of the 3-day FINA summit in Nairobi, is expected to unlock private investment, strengthen food security and accelerate agricultural growth. The plan is expected to replace fragmented projects with a unified, bankable investment framework that aligns national and county priorities with private sector and development partner support.
Government and county governments will contribute about 45% of the investment in agriculture over the next 5 years. The private sector will do another 35%. And the remaining 20% will be done by development partners.
This is the first step towards ensuring that we have a sustainable agricultural financing in this country. And it's a move that basically shows the fact that the government is very committed in terms of ensuring that agricultural financing is properly resourced.
What do we need to be doing differently? We cannot be mentioning a GDP percentage that has been consistent and constant since independence. Why is it not increasing? How do we need to resource? And it's not always an issue of how much resources, but how financing is structured.
Business News, brought to you by download the Sendwave app today and use promo code ROYALWAVE. First-time users who fund their wallet with at least $10 receive a $5 bonus credit withdrawable after 15 days. Sendwave, for here, for there, for home.
Preparation Preparations for the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations must be treated as a whole-of-government assignment rather than the responsibility of the Ministry of Sports alone. That's according to Local Organizing Committee Chair Nicholas Musonye. While appearing before the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Sports at Bunge Towers, Musonye urged other ministries to work together to meet CAF deadlines and ensure Kenya is ready to co-host the tournament alongside Uganda and Tanzania.
We are moving forward to organize a very successful AFCON. As I was putting it, AFCON is a massive competition. It's not as simple as people may think outside there. It's a tournament that needs a lot of coordination, a lot of effort to make sure that we organize a very successful competition. We are organizing this competition with our neighbors. As the committee,
Kenya's junior starlets will take another step in their quest to qualify for the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup when they face South Africa in the first leg of the final qualification round on Saturday at the Lucas Moripe Stadium in Pretoria. The junior starlets are just 2 matches away from securing a second appearance at the World Cup and will be looking to carry a positive result back home ahead of the return leg in Nairobi. Having impressed throughout the qualification campaign, the Kenyan youngsters will be aiming to continue the momentum against a determined South African side. The winner over the 2-leg tie will book a ticket to this year's showpiece set for Morocco.
At least coach amejua wea tuko vibaya na mali tuko vizuri. Na kwa zoezi pia tumekuwa tukitry kuimplement vitu zote zenye tulikuwa tunafundishwa. So I believe game ya South Africa tutawapea kitu.
When we have a strong mentality and we are able to fight through the hard circumstances, then it becomes easier for us to win matches. So we are anticipating a very aggressive side, but the girls are prepared mentally.
Champions Strathmore will begin their rough and tough Sevens title defence against familiar rivals after the draw for the second edition of the tournament was conducted in Nairobi ahead of the one-day event scheduled for July 11th at Ngong Rescos. 8 of Kenya's leading community rugby clubs will battle for top honours in the annual Sevens competition organised by Nondies, with this year's edition expected to attract about 1,000 fans following the success of the inaugural tournament. Strathmore headline Pool A alongside Black Blood, Kenya Harlequins and hosts Nondescripts RFC, while last year's runners-up Mwamba have been drawn in Pool B together with Nakuru RFC, Impala RFC and tourney debutants, Daystar Falcons.
But you never know. I think we're here for the long run. As Crown, we're committed. We are here for the long run. And we want to see where this second edition takes us. We continue to engage with the Kenya Rugby Union. And see how best we can move this forward. So it's baby steps at the moment, one step at a time, and we see where it takes us.
That's all for tonight. Thank you very much for watching and for your feedback. Njoki Shege is our sign language interpreter. I'm Yvonne Okwara. Good night.